Hello and welcome to another edition of Biz Headlines on GhanaWeb TV. My name is Stella J.J. Sudley. So our very first story for today, Ghana's monthly inflation has declined for the third consecutive time in 3 months from 38.1% in September to 35.2% in October 2023. Recent figures released by the Ghana Statistical Service attributed the development to the marginal drop in food inflation. Government statistician Professor Kobne Nim said food inflation in the period was pegged at 44.8%, while non-food inflation was 27.7%. In addition to the figures, inflation for locally manufactured items was pegged at 34.4%, while imported items stood at 34.4% from an earlier 37.7% in September 2023. The Minister of Finance, Ken Ofori-Atta, presented the 2024 Budget and Economic Statement to Parliament on 15th November 2023. The Minister expressed optimism about the prospects of the 2024 budget he calls the Nkommo budget. According to him, this budget being the last budget to mark the end of the tenure of the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, is tailored with inputs from the various stakeholders that matter. He noted that the budget is set to advance the country on the path of fiscal consolidation and growth that began a year ago. Ofori-Atta said the budget set out a new debt sustainability path after the excruciating debt distress that saddled the country since last year. Still on the presentation of the 2024 budget, the minister set out 5 growth targets for the country in the 2024 fiscal year. He said overall real GDP growth of at least 2.8%, non-oil real GDP growth of at least 2.1%, end period inflation rate of 15.0%, primary balance on commitment basis of a surplus of 0.5% of GDP, and gross international reserves to cover not less than 3.0 months of import. One of the key highlights of the 2024 budget was the introduction of several tax waivers for the Ghanaian economy. Among these are to extend zero rate of VAT on locally manufactured African prints for 2 more years, waive import duties on the import of electric vehicles for public transportation for 8 years, waive import duties on semi-knockdown and completely knockdown electric vehicles imported by registered EV assembly companies in Ghana for 8 years, extend zero rate of VAT on locally assembled vehicles for 2 more years, zero VAT rate on locally produced sanitary pads, grant import duty waivers for raw materials for the local manufacture of sanitary pads, grant exemptions on the importation of agricultural machinery equipment and inputs and medical consumables, raw materials for the pharmaceutical industry, and last but not the least, a VAT flat rate of 5% to replace the 15% standard VAT rate on all commercial properties will be introduced to simplify administration. Still on taxes, the Minister of Finance, Ken Ofori-Atta, also revealed in the 2024 budget that government plans to expand the environmental excise duty to cater to plastic waste pollution and vehicle emissions. To address the negative externalities of plastic waste and pollution, the government will review and expand the environmental excise duty to cover plastic packaging and industrial and vehicle emissions. In addition to that, the government said the Stamp Duty Act will be reviewed. Quote, Mr. Speaker, the Stamp Duty Act 2005 Act 689 has not been reviewed since its enactment in 2005. To realign the rates with current economic realities, the government in 2024 reviewed the rates and fees for stamp duties. End quote. So our very last story for today, the Bank of Ghana has once again warned against transacting business with some money transfer organizations that do not have the necessary approval from the central bank. In a statement issued by the bank on November 16, it said There are a number of money transfer organizations operating within the remittance and the Ghana Forex market without approval from the Bank of Ghana. They are Lemonade Finance, also known as Lemfi, Wise, TransferGo, Zoom, a PayPal service, Send Value, Boss Revolution, BTC Azar Finance, and Supersonics. The industry regulator noted that these operators are operating against Section 3.1 of the Foreign Exchange Act 2006, Act 723, which states that a person shall not engage in the business of dealing with foreign exchange without a license issued under this act. By this notice, all market players are reminded of the directives above and are entreated to comply accordingly. And that'll be all for Biz Headlines this week. For more of our news stories, do log on to our website at www.ghanaweb.com. Also follow us on our social media platforms on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at The GhanaWeb. On YouTube, GhanaWeb TV. My name is Stella J. Sudley. Do enjoy the rest of our programs.